and welcome to Lessons with Cameron. Today we're going to talk about the Mesa Boogie DC-5. I've had a lot of questions and comments on another video I made about this thing, just kind of showing some of the things it can do. Today I will go ahead and go in a little bit more in depth. Okay, so here we have on the DC-5, we have two different rows of settings. We have the top row, which would be the clean channel, and then we have the bottom row here, which would be the distortion or the gain channel, or the overdrive, or the call it what you want. That's where you get your crunch, 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 as opposed to the other stuff. So at the far end, we have a 5-band equalizer here. That's left to right. You're going to get bass to treble. Get your low sounds all the way over to your high sounds, and then on the far end you've got this guy way over here. This is the output knob. That's your overall volume. That controls the final volume for both the clean and the dirty channel. First channel we're going to look at is the dirty channel, or the clean channel, excuse me, and we're going to go ahead and give it a listen. Alright, so now we're hooked up on the clean channel. I've got the boost pulled out on the gain knob, which is kind of a nice feature. You can pull out the boost, gives you a little bit more bite. It does add volume though, so you want to compensate for that down on the master at the other end so you don't blow your audience out. I've got my gain set at about 3. Looks like the trebles are set at 7. The mids, how about some better mic? The mids there are set around about 4, 5. Mids on 5, and I've got the bass on 7.5 because I like to push it just a little bit. Looks like the presence here is on about 5.5. Reverb is on 5, which is still a little too wet. And then the master volume here, I've got it set at 2, a little over 2, because it's a little after midnight. It's a little after 1 a.m. So now trying to keep it down. Don't want to kill the neighbors. I've got my master volume set at 1, 1.5, closer to 1 really. And my EQ looks to be pretty much just about even. The bass is up a teeny tiny bit, the middle is down a teeny tiny bit, and the last treble on the right is down a teeny tiny bit. So kind of scoops down, picks up a little bit, and scoops back down. Alright, so let's give it a listen. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to turn that gain, I'm going to push that back in, turn the gain boost off. So now I'm going to have to turn that gain itself up a little bit. And here we are now set with the gain at about 3.5 to 4. All the rest of the knobs are still about the same. Looks like about 6, 5, 7.5. Presence is at 5.5. Reverb is still at 5, and master is still at 2. Alright, so these are the new settings. These are the new settings, and here we go. So there's that. It's a little bit softer. Turns out I kind of like that boost a little bit better. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn the gain up on the clean channel. We're going to stay on the clean channel, but I'm going to run that gain pretty hard. I'm going to kill the master volume a little bit because as I turn up the gain, I'm going to get more volume right now. Shh, don't want to wake the neighbors. So this here, I've gone ahead and turned that gain up to about 7. I haven't pulled it out yet. That's going to really kick up the volume, so I'm going to have to really work on bringing it down because right now I've got the master volume at about 1.5, and I've got the master volume for the channel at about 1.5. So, and it's still loud enough. Maybe too loud. That one's a little dull sounding to me, but I haven't really gotten to hit its stride yet. So it's pretty compressed sounding. Not sure I'm real down with that yet. And I'm going to go ahead and crank the gain all the way up at this point. And try to leave the volume. Nope, I got to turn it down. Alright, so here we are at with the gain all the way on 10. I've still got it pushed in though. The rest of the settings I've kept completely the same. I just keep turning down that master to kind of compensate for all that extra volume. So here it is. You can hear it just start to warm up. So at this point, it's starting to feel kind of bluesy. I'm not sure that I can do much else with that other than just kind of follow that blues where it takes me. So let's go ahead and pull that knob and see what we could do. Alright, I've pulled on the gain knob, so we've got that boost back up. And we're still in the clean channel. It's getting kind of dirty though. So I've got the gain turned up to 10, pulled out. I've got the volume set down all the way as low as it'll go before it shuts off completely, which is still, oddly enough, kind of loud. What a way to munch it. Alright, anyway. That sound only takes me so far. Again, that kind of, I feel like I can only do a couple things with that tone, but it's a great tone for doing those couple things. Alright, let's go ahead and go back to normal town. Okay, so now we got a tone that's a little bit more workable. I pushed the gain knob back in, so we're not dealing with the boost right now, even though the boost is sweet. I'm going to try to deal without that. So anyway, here's what we've got is the gain's now on 5, master's now on 2, and everything else has stayed the same, so I'm going to start playing with the knobs. We're going to bring the treble down to about 3, so it's going to be a pretty big cut. So here we are, trebles at 3. And now we're starting to get into that cool jazz territory where it starts to get a little fuzzy. Bring back my tone knob a touch. that's kind of a sweeter tone. A lot of times we want just a touch more punch. Go in the opposite direction just a little too much. This is taking the treble up to almost 9, and this amp has a lot of treble, maybe too much. Right, now here we'll go ahead and do some of these strummy kind of picky stuff. That probably gives you a better chance to figure out what you're doing, because I'm farting around a little too much. So here it is. Alright, so now that actually wasn't as bad as I expected. I kind of expected it to hurt. I'm going to dial that treble back to about 5 or 6, because most of the knobs, honestly, are pretty close to 5, and it's just a 1 or 2 at the most in one direction or the other, except the bass, because I'm admittedly a bass hog, and I have a tendency to turn that up a little too much. I'm going to bring the mids up. Now I got the mids up about 8. Okay, so I got it switched here over to the distortion channel. This is just one of the greatest distortions. For the record, I got no pedals, nothing, just one cable straight into the amp. Alright, so let's get it a little bit chunkier. So we're going to take a second here and chunkify. As you can hear though, as we roll that on, boy, it gets noisy. I'm going to take a few steps back and see if getting away from it will help. Boy, it's just this, not the best room in the world for this. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and detune it. Alright, so as much as I love that, I'm going to go ahead and take it one step further, and we're going to start playing with the EQ a bit, because I don't even have the EQ turned on at this point. That's just the sound of me moving across the room. Alright, so here we go. We're going to give that bass a little bit of a boost. And we're going to go ahead and give the treble and even the second here, the 2200, we're going to give that guy a little bit of chunk too. The 66, we're going to bring that up. I don't want to bring that up too much because it starts getting really, really crispy. Not too much. I'm going to take the middle out just a little. Too much of that middle will get missing, and it's just, it's all bad. Alright, so we didn't play with the EQ in the middle here. I got the reverb at 0, I got the presence at 7, I got the bass at 7.5, I got 5 on the mids, and I got 6 on the treble. To be honest, presence at 7.5. Alright, so I'm going to bring the presence up to 8. I'm going to bring the bass up to 8. I'm going to bring the mids down to about, 3. And I'm going to bring those trebles up to about 7, but I don't want to go too crazy with it. I'm going to bring that gain all the rest of the way, because it looks like I was on 9-ish. Now I'm going to hit the... Well, actually, I wasn't even anywhere near 9, because apparently my knob's not on straight anymore. Alright. So here's that, I got my gain all the way on 10. You can hear by all this. It's a noisy amp. I got my treble at 7, I got my mid at 3, I got my bass at 8, my presence at 8, my reverb at 0, my master at 1. I got my bass at 80 hertz almost all the way up. I got 240 right on that middle line. I got 750 cut about halfway between the first and second lines. 2200 is just shy of halfway of between the top two lines. And 66 is actually about halfway between the top two lines. So, as I said in my other video, the Mesa Boogie can do the chunky chunk pretty damn good. I might be able to even get a little bit further into that. I might be able to tighten the sound just a little bit up. Let's make everything pretty extreme, even more extreme than we've already done it. So here we go. I'm going to take that 750 all the way out. I'm going to push that 66 a little bit further. Not that 80 hertz wasn't quite all the way to the top, so now it is. So this is the Extreme V. I mentioned this in my other video, but I was using the camera. And the camera microphone's not nearly as good as the SM57 I've got pointed right at this 12-inch speaker right now. So we're going to take a look at what else can I do to make this a little bit chunkier. I'm going to give the bass knob a little bit more. Now, the black shadow that's built into this thing is it's great up to a point. It can't handle all the bass that came with this speaker, so you're going to want to upgrade that speaker at some point to something a little bit heavier if you really want to push the basses, or just get yourself a really good solid cabinet with some EVs in it or something heavy. I don't use this sound at very high volumes because it just flubs the hell out of my speaker, but here it is. So I'm going to dial that gain back. You notice that obnoxious sound goes right away. I'd say right as we cross into about 8. 8 on the gain. As we get 7, it gets pretty freaking quiet, so we're going to stick with that. I'm going to keep that treble up around 7, but I'm going to bring those mids back because I miss them. I miss them already. So I'm going to take the mids, bring up to 6. That bass is just overwhelmingly too much. I'm going to roll that back to about 7. We're going to keep that at 7. Presence, I'm going to keep the presence up pretty high because I want some bite. Now the reverb, I've had the reverb at 0 this entire time. Usually I do that so when I record, I can add whatever reverb I want. But in this case, maybe I should bring a little bit of this reverb in. Yeah, there we go. Some reverb. Yeah, delicious. All right, so I've got the reverb set at 4 just for the heck of it. I'm still tuned to D, so let me fix that. And also let me fix this extreme setting on the EQ. This is more like what I like to see here with the EQ. Just a little, well, the bass is a little heavy, but I'm going to leave it that way. All right, so I'm back in correct tuning. We're going to go ahead and move on here. This is a setting. I've got the gain at 7, treble at 7, mid at 6, bass at 7, presence at 9, reverb at 4, and this is what would be a pretty good rockin' tone. We're going to bring the gain all the way down to 4 so we can start seeing what the sweet spots of this amp are like. I'm going to bring the treble down to about 5.5. Going to bring that mids, I'm going to keep some mids in. Let's put the mids in at about 8.5. And the bass, I'm going to bring the bass, I want this thinner, so we're going to keep some mids, we're going to keep the treble. We'll bring that bass down to about 4. Presence, I'm going to cut it down. 5 is probably pretty solid. Let's put that reverb at about 5 because I'm glutton for punishment. Alright, so here we go. This might be more appropriate for somebody doing like a Doobie Brothers type thing, maybe. Maybe even a Leonard Skinner type. So that's, yeah, you know, that's kind of a Leonard Skinner beat. Now at this point, you know, the gain's all the way down to 4. I could dial off a lot of gain still because that's pretty gainy. So let's bring that back to something like 2. Let's make it work hard for it. So this is with the gain on 2. Treble at 6, mid at 8, bass at 4, presence at 5, reverb at 5. Well, that's a little bit short of interesting, so now we know the gain sweet spot seems to be somewhere between 4 and, I don't know, 8-ish. That seems to be the sweet spot where you got enough gain to work with, but not so much that it goes... This is your worst nightmare. I wound up buying a Boss NS2 noise suppressor just to try to dim some of that down. At the time I was using Fenders, so it was really, really important to try to cut down the amount of noise, because you add that to single coils and it was just, it was a horrible noise. It sounded like I was playing before I even turned my amp on, or before I turned my guitar up. Alright, so alright, here we got the gain at 7.5, we got the treble at 7.5, we got the mids just past 7, we got the bass at about 8.5, presence at 7, the reverb is at 5, master's at 1, the output master is still at 1.5, and the neighbors have not woken up. Here is the next kind of rock setting. Alright, so let's go ahead and see if we can dial up something that's kind of more Metallica-ish, because that's also a pretty common request I get on this amp. Alright, so here's that, my best guess at kind of a Metallica-ish tone with this thing. Alright, and thanks for tuning in. This has been Lessons with Cameron. We sat down with the DC5, and maybe we'll sit down with the Orange Tiny Terror, or maybe the Orange Micro Terror here in a short bit. Take care and keep on keeping on.